one of my recent lives from the Scout Hall, a young leader was watching and he commented, "Mark, I'm so bored of being a young leader. All my leader does is make me juice. What can I do to make me want to go to Beavers every week and want to be a young leader? Because at the moment, I just want to quit." And when I read that comment, I felt really sad, a real kind of pain inside and that kind of flame gone. Because we've all been there as leaders when we think, what's the point in turning up? But as a young leader, you've been through the movement, you want to be there, and you've got a purpose of being there. But you don't really have much of a say as a young leader. Kind of leader just tells you, kind of the scout leader will just tell you, hey, go and do X, Y, Z, and you don't have that much input. But do you? Well, you do, actually. If you've got a cool scout leader, they should be looking at you and thinking, what can I get from you to make my troop the best troop in the county, in the district? But using you as a young leader to your best advantage. You've been through the movement. You know what's cool, what's fun. So we should be tapping into our young leaders and not just using and abusing them to make the juice and doing the boring jobs. Get them to program plan. Program planning is one of their missions, one of their objectives in their young leader belt. So get them along to program planning meetings, and they might suggest, so we haven't been to the fire station for a long time. That was brilliant when I did it in Scouts. Or how about if we didn't do knots the way you did it? It's rather boring. Maybe instead of just using rope to do knots, we use a phone charger cable, because young people carry that in their backpacks all the time. It's just a spur of the moment example I had in my head. I don't know if that works. Remember, these young people have skills. They need to nurture. They need to get better. They need to be more mature, just like us as leaders. We weren't born to be a leader. Okay, some of us were, but we weren't born to be a scout leader. That's what I'm trying to say. We've learned those skills. We've done those modules. We've learned how to run our scouts safely. And that's what we need to teach the young leader, how to run things, how to be more positive, resilience, that kind of thing that they've got to learn as a young person, just like we did as a young person. So for instance, say you give them a challenge every week that they're going to do the games around the theme of the badge that you're doing, yeah? They do that for a few months or a few weeks, then say, okay, the next activity I want you to do is run this particular part of the badge. So we're doing recycling. So ask them, could they make robot wars? Get them to make things out of recycling. Give them that little part of the badge to do. Once they've done that and they feel confident, say, right, we're going on camp and I want you to be part of the catering team. So you're going to work with Skip, and you're going to get the food shopping list done. You're going to get the food shopping done. You're going to put the food away. And part of your job on camp is to do the catering. Or maybe they come up with a theme and they come up with activities. So they come up with a Harry Potter theme for the camp for beavers or cubs. And then they've got to run some activities or think of some activities around Harry Potter for that camp. Get them involved in the planning from an early stage. And I think it's about being a good leader as well and showing that you will do anything as well. So you're not going to just give, your assistant cub leader, they've got to make sure that the toilets are clean or whatever. Then you pass that on to young leader and you don't actually do it as a scout leader. So I think as a scout leader, we should be doing everything that we expect the young leaders to do as well. So if we're making them to do the juice duty, then next week you should be on the juice duty. Sharing those roles and showing them how to be a good adult. And remember, if you keep giving them the boring jobs, they're not going to return back next week, are they? If they just, their role in Scouts or Beavers Cubs, wherever they are as a young leader, is just to do the really boring jobs, the mundane jobs at the end of the night, sweep up. Okay, as part of the Scouts, we've all got to do it, but keep those boring jobs for you, the scout leader, or your assistant scout leader. Don't give them to the young person. Remember, as a young leader, the scout leader is still responsible for them. They're still a young person. They're still under the age of 18. So they're incorporated in the young person's ratio. They're not known as a leader. So you can't count them as your leader ratio. I think it's like treating your young leader as another leader as such. Don't see them just as a bigger scout and they can do whatever. Get them involved and get them to dive in, get them stuck in and explain that things aren't going to go right all the time. Just like you as a leader, you've been planning, prepping, and it's been a wet day and the scouts have been running around. The beavers have not been in the playground. You know those days. I think that's as a scout leader, we have our duty as well to look after that young leader and show them about, skills for life, how to become a young person. And sometimes life is a bit rubbish out there. And just giving them a bit of respect, giving them a task, and then if it goes wrong, sit down, discuss what you thought, and ask them what they thought went wrong and how they can rectify it, how they can run it better next time, and you as a leader give them a better thing. But if it goes wrong, don't rip into them, don't be nasty and go, I told you that's not going to work, because as a leader, we've done that, haven't we? We've written a program, an activity that night, thinking it's brilliant, and it works out to be rubbish. I've done that. You've read games online and think, actually, on social media, that sounds brilliant. When you run it yourself, it's rubbish. And that might be the case for the young leader. You've asked them to run a game, research a game. The game makes no sense. The rules are complicated or whatever. Just sit down at the end of the night and just explain. Maybe, how could we have changed that game? Maybe the rules are too complicated, or there was too much equipment. It took a long time to set up. It's all about reflection and looking back, isn't it? And teaching that young leader resilience, that sometimes it's going to go wrong, but dig deep, dig in that heart, never give up, as Bear Grylls will say, and come back next week bigger, stronger, and even better. Get a better game. Going back to that question about the young leader goes to Beavers every week and the leader just make juice. That's not really effective use of time for that young person. They've had to travel, they could be at home doing their homework or whatever they've got to do, but they're volunteering to help you as a scout leader make your life easier in your section, and you're just getting them the most crappiest task because you don't want to make the juice. That's the bottom line, because it's boring and you've got better things to do with your time. Yeah, the juice has got to be made, but it's not inspiring for that young leader to come back the next week and go, actually, I want to go back to Beavers because it's brilliant. I had a really good fun time making Ribena. Other brands are available. So use that young leader as a tool in your section. They've got the knowledge, they've been in that section, they've done it. They might not know how to plan that activity or whatever, but what I'm trying to say is just treat them with a little bit of respect. Yeah? And if you as a leader turned up every week and the Beaver leader told you you're just on juice duty every week, you would probably think, why am I volunteering? What's the point? So scout leaders, show some respect to the young leaders. Give them a really cool task. Okay, it can't be cool every week. Yeah, the juice has to be made. The floor has to be swept. But put it on a rota. And not just take the mickey out of that young leader. Yeah? Teach them. Make sure they're doing their young leader module. Get that belt. Make sure that they've done the basic modules. Maybe you've got more tips, more advice. Maybe you have more young leaders in your section. Maybe you don't really want young leaders in your section. I don't know. Put a little message below why you're pro young leader, or maybe you're anti young leader and you don't want them helping you. Whatever it is, just treat them like you would like to be treated as a volunteer. Yeah? Okay, scout leaders. See you next time here on Big Man of the Woods. Hey, watch this one here. It's got some cool games. If you're struggling for games ideas when those youth turn up at the scout hall for their very first time, watch it. Play some games. See you next time here on Big Man of the Woods. Bye-bye.